Let's Pour Up. My name is Colina Bruce, and my guest today started doing stand-up comedy in 2017. Hosts a podcast called You Better about self-care and self-discovery, and is a multidisciplinary creative. I would like to welcome Kiesha Garrison of Hey Black Seattle.
Hey.
Thank you for being here. Hey, girl, hey. How's it going?
It's going,
Yes.
It's going. I'm standing, I'm smiling.
Yes,
and I'm
you
here.
look great.
Thank
You look
you.
amazing.
Thanks,
We're going to get into this. But I always like to start with the moment of meaning. So I'm going to just read a quote and I'll just ask for your response to it. Okay. So it says, we are not meant to understand everything, but we are meant to have a deep connection with ourselves and with others. Does that resonate with you? What does that mean to you?
I can feel that because we're not going to be able to understand everything, but the only way that we add those layers of understanding is in asking a lot of questions and a lot of questions of ourselves.
Yeah.
And we add to our perspective by borrowing the lens of other people. And so it's almost like you can't really see things as much as you would be valuable for you to see them unless you have other people around you and have some community.
For sure.
So I like how it brings the interconnectedness and how we need each other to be able to understand more.
Yeah, I love that. Well, when I read it, I thought about just kind of from learning a little bit more about you and what you do, just that idea of like self-discovery and what that means and looks like. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. But I first want to start by just learning more about Hey Black Seattle. So tell me, how did you start it? How's your journey been? Like, tell us the tea, girl.
All right. Hey Black Seattle. That's my current baby. I like to call it the newborn in my life.
Okay.
It actually started as an idea that I got on June 4th of last year.
Okay.
I remember the date because for all that believe in the divine download that can happen in your life when you kind of get your purpose shown to you, June 4th of last year was when all of the information about Hey Black Seattle came to me.
Okay.
It was around a time where I was at the point in my journey where I was trying to connect to more of the Black arts community here in Seattle. I feel like at that point I had some friends who were in stand-up comedy. I was started to get to know people who were working in some of the different art galleries, but I wanted more because I had let go of a lot of my artistry over the course of a 20-year corporate career that took up a lot of time and attention and essence.
Yeah.
And so I was in this place where I'm like, I want to find out who else is Black who's doing these things out here.
Yeah.
And one of the messages that came said, well, if you go do that work for yourself, you could actually do that for a lot more people.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had to sit with that and think, oh, okay, I really do have the background in tech, because what I was picturing was building a tool for us to be able to find each other more easily out here.
Okay.
And I have a background in find it kind of websites. I worked at a physician finder website. I was on the board at a classical music finding website.
Wow. Okay.
And when I came out here, I was recruited by a tech company. This was 10 years ago.
Okay.
To work on building out a global network of websites. And so when I was thinking about, okay, I have these skills.
Yeah.
And then I have this desire. I just put them together and I was like, I'm going to start building out for us the small, relatively small, I will say, but mighty and dispersed Black community in the greater Seattle area. Because it's like 350,000 of us.
Yeah, I think I'm born and raised in Seattle, so a lot of times when I travel, people are like, are there Black folks up there? And I'm like, yes, we're here.
When I would tell people, they're like, where you live? I'm like, Seattle. They're like, oh, immediately they start to have this imagery of just like, why are you staying out there? What's going on? It's like the Black community that I have found here, the Black people that I have met here, it's like there's pockets of Black community that are deep. It's deep, and it's not surrounding us all day when we go running around downtown and all these different places. We are definitely surrounded. By folks who ain't Black. But when you plug into the Black community here, the roots go really deep.
Absolutely.
And I don't think people recognize that.
Yeah.
And so then they talk sideways about a place where Black people are and have always been.
Yeah, I think about that a lot with my own family. My mom was one of 10 siblings. So they,
Whew.
and they all have kids, and we all have kids. They all went to Garfield.
Y'all the
So,
350,000.
oh my goodness, exactly. So just even that, like trying to go back through that lineage and really understand. I mean, my grandparents were migrants, so they weren't from here, but just thinking about that whole lineage and how deep it runs. I mean, I could be anywhere and somebody be like, "Oh, you're one of the Wilson clan," and my last name ain't Wilson, but they know the family. So, well, with that being said, I would love to learn a little bit more about. You said you came here for work. Where were you before, and like, what has that transition been like?
So let me see. I was on the East Coast.
Okay.
I was in New Jersey working in Manhattan because when I went to college in Atlanta at Spelman. And when I graduated Spelman, I went straight to New York City. And I was living in Brooklyn, working in the publishing industry, Manhattan, that thing that people picture when they think about Devil Wears Prada.
Sex in the City.
I wasn't on that team. I was on the business side. But it was definitely like, oh, I'm joining People Magazine and Sports Illustrated for Kids and InStyle, and I'm doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
That place almost broke me in two.
Yeah.
It was like Survivor Island every holiday season. Most of the people that you work with got laid off, and you kept being asked to do more with less, more with less.
Yeah,
By some point, I was sleeping in that office, like buying fresh underwear and a toothbrush from the Dwayne Reed the next day because it wasn't time for me to commute to go home.
Yeah.
And so that life wasn't sustainable.
No.
I think it, in some ways, caused some damage that I'm still trying to undo physically from that amount of intense stress.
Wow.
So I decided to take my career digital because at some point I saw that industry was going up and the parts where the people kept getting like cut was going down. So
period.
I made
She said, "I'm a
like put the church finger.
Queen, okay?
I'm gonna just see myself out.
Right.
Can't do this no more.
Right.
So I went to tech, and that's where I was working at a physician finder website, doing those things. I had my daughter, I think, when I was there. Became a new mom. I'm 30 now. But I was like, something does need to change. And I got a call from Microsoft, and then I got recruited to come out here.
Nice.
And so my daughter was 3 at the time.
So that's a huge transition in itself.
Packed her up. And to be honest, I felt like and still feel like moving here was one of the best life decisions I ever made.
Nice.
So the things that were valuable to me in New York and New Jersey that I think about still were becoming less accessible to me out there anyway. My friend group, everybody was having to move so far away from the city to afford life.
Yeah.
That it was getting really hard to feel like I had community.
Yeah.
Like I had spent almost a decade building up friendships, but then I had to move to Jersey to afford, my spot and what we were about to do. Friends out there in Long Island, way up in Yonkers, everyone was spreading out. And so it had become for me this place where I was now with a baby, a little girl, and I'm grinding. I'm doing 1 hour, one-way commutes on a bus, a walk to a bus to a train to a walk.
Oh my goodness.
And that's just the close part of Jersey.
The stories your daughter's going to hear when she's older. You have to tell her about, you remember when I had to.
And I was certainly on that bus just pregnant with my Hypno Baby CD on, trying to just get zen.
Yeah.
But that life, I loved how in New York City you can have if you making crochet shapes of cat heads, you probably gonna find 10 different groups.
Right.
You got options of the crochet and the cat head groups. Whereas if you're here in Seattle, you might find 1 or 2.
Right.
And they probably both white, and you got to decide how much do I really like crochet and cat heads versus do I need to start my own group or no, because I want to do the black one.
Yeah.
So that is a big difference that I see. I had options that felt hard to access because the lifestyle was so grinding.
Yeah.
Once I got here, we just regular parking cars. We're just gonna drive up into a parking space at some point in my life. There were small things that made life easier. It felt less difficult on me as a person, as a young mom.
Yeah.
The commute was now 15 minutes because they moved me out here and dropped me in Bellevue, and my job was in Redmond.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, Bellevue to Redmond is super close.
Right.
So that changed my life. I got time back.
I was gonna say that is I was going to ask you about the cost of living, but I also was going to say just that time being currency. You
Yeah.
know, that's huge because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times we kind of take that for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so important to, like you said, like stop and think about how am I taking care of myself?
Yeah.
Because I'm giving all of myself to this job or to this thing or to this relationship or whatever it might be. And it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you made your way to the town.
I'm here with you
Um,
and all your cousins.
Listen, we just, we out here. I am really curious to learn more about your stand-up comedy.
I love comedy.
Okay. Are you still doing comedy?
I would say right now I'm on a bit of a pause because of launching Hey Black Seattle.
Okay. So you completely stepped outside of your comfort zone. You became a comedian, an MC, you're doing all these things. And how do you feel now?
I feel so much freer. And I think that was what I really needed. I needed to feel what life would feel like if I was operating on my own agenda,
Yeah.
according to what my values told me was important to do in the world.
Yeah.
Because I often say, I ain't got a problem with my previous employer's mission, but that's your mission.
Right.
And I'm using my time and my talent and my life energy and essence in support of your mission. But who's to say that mission is more important than the one I have?
Yeah.
I might be one person, not a large conglomerate with shareholders, but
Right.
the mission that's on my heart matters too.
Yeah.
And so when I say to myself, well, what would you do if you were on your own mission? And now I just wake up and live that every day.
Yeah.
That is fortifying in a way.
Yes.
That is healing.
Yeah. I think that's one of the dope things about being like an entrepreneur as well is that, it is a lot. It's heavy, right? There's a lot behind the scenes and not sleeping and working and doing all that stuff. But you also, the fruitfulness of that is that you get to use your platform to do what you want to do and to operate from your core values and doing that. And then like bringing other people along with you too. Like that's just something that for me is more valuable than anything that I've been able to do in the past. So
yeah.
All right. I know that on your podcast and in your work, you do a lot of work around self-discovery. What does that look like? What does self-love look like? And like, what is the hardest part of that journey?
Yeah. Whew. What that looks like and what self-discovery has looked like for me is a lot of kind of what we just been talking about, where you realize that there's something that means something to you, and you let that be just as important or even more important to you than the other things that you're being told you should be using your life for and yourself for. Like donating yourself in service of some other stuff.
Right.
I think that self-discovery is figuring out what are the things that actually mean something to me, and then how do I go live out that way? Now I'm discovering what it means for me to go each day and live out the value of empathy. Does it mean I need to actually change or evaluate something that I was doing before that felt good and was fun and I enjoyed, or it made me money or whatever it is? Me like, oh, if I'm going to live that value that I now have processed and checked in with myself and decided is important, what does it look like to go live that now?
Yeah.
And so that for me has been this process of like letting the way that I operate and the things that I give time and energy to, letting them actually be from a place of I have interrogated myself and I've examined why I was doing the things I was doing before. And I know now why I want to do the things that I've chosen. And I'm going to start the process of moving forward and doing them. And that's the hard part. The hard part is undoing the stuff that's not aligned with what you have now known. You now know about yourself.
And that takes a lot. It takes accountability first and foremost, because I think a lot of times it's very easy to think about like, well, why did this thing happen to me? Or this person did this thing to me. And when you're not in a space of being able to take accountability for your own actions, you're not able to really see what your role was in that situation, or even to think about like, it's not necessarily that this thing happened to me. What is this thing here to teach me? What am I learning from this thing? And so that's hard. It's really hard work because it's not always pretty. you know?
No,
It's not
no.
sexy.
It's
you
not
know?
sexy at
Yeah.
all. And it requires us to be gentle with our past selves
Yeah.
and not then take the moment of accountability as beating yourself up and be
Yeah.
like, whoever, previous you was did the best they could with the information
Oh,
they
yeah.
had
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
the situation they had, that you now have the benefit of experience and knowledge.
Yeah.
Don't look back on them and look down.
Right. And how do you move out of that space? We're constantly evolving. And so if we are thinking of, our past traumas or experiences or challenges, and we are continuing to let those define why we are who we are today, or let them guide where we're ending up, like, we cannot evolve, and part of that process is, yes, I need to understand how this thing traumatized me. I need to understand why this thing triggers me. And I need to move away from that thing and make some changes.
Get to the next part of the story. Okay,
exactly.
If that, then now what? Because some people
that there, learn
get to
from
the place
it,
where it's like, oh, thank goodness I understand my story now. Now let me stay right here and just tell everybody.
And keep telling everybody.
And let me keep
yeah.
sitting in it. People will say, like, getting stuck on your story, but
Mm-hmm.
it's so common. People don't even feel themselves do it. They just get used to saying, well, this is why this happened. That's why somebody got the auntie out there who been telling the same story. Make it like you the first time and you never heard her tell you, like, man, we talked about this last time she was here.
Right.
Because they stuck in that identity that they have attached to all the things that they learned in that moment. But the unknown of heading forward, even if the unknown could end up being joy, even the joy feels scary. You really aren't comfortable with, like, uncertainty and not knowing stuff.
That's real. Yeah. Yes, all of that. In that vein, I know that you've done a lot of kind of research on the greater Seattle area and Washington State in general. And I know that part of that is, like, really diving into, like you said, the roots and the connection. I'm also really curious. I saw on your site that you talk about some, like, Black facts and things that you've learned, and just kind of perusing. I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting. What are some of the most interesting things that you've learned about Black Seattle, or cool facts, crazy things?
I think one of the most interesting things that I learned when reading about Black Seattle was how far back it actually goes. Like, we're back in the 1800s. I didn't realize that Black people were in this part of the nation before this thing was even called Washington or any of that. So I love, like, those little discoveries. And then I think for people who move out here, they might be surprised to know that Seattle has, like, jazz roots. Like, the music scene used to look so different.
Yeah, for sure.
It's sort of like a whole just strips of just jazz bars and clubs and stuff, and that there was, like, musicians and Quincy Jones and all these people used to come here to, like, experience that. And I think that people can't feel that in the same way now, so they realize that the jazz roots of Seattle run so deep.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's been, well, there's a lot about, again, being a native and kind of experiencing this concept of, like, vanishing Seattle, and then also understanding that what we know to be, the African-American district, the Central District, which was historically Black and is now not, is more of a gentrified neighborhood. When we think about the ways that Black folks were really prospering in the area. And a lot of that was due to redlining and different covenants, which pretty much quarantined us to certain parts of the town. Then when we started to build those things up and they became desirable, they were taken from us, and so when folks move to Seattle and they move into the neighborhoods and they're not really familiar with, redlining and all of that, it could be challenging to really fully understand the history of Seattle and the richness of the Black culture that has always been here, especially when people look around and they don't always see Black folks, and they're like, it's an anomaly to a certain extent for some people. But
just even the history of the Central District alone gets me so fired up because it's the same thing that in some way Black people have experienced in so many different parts of the country, and they should be able to recognize that here. So it's like whatever went through in Brooklyn, Harlem, New Orleans, LA, like there's so many stories like this. And I want for Black people to care for Black people no matter where they are, no matter if you recognize certain ways that Blackness shows up. You can connect to the fact that if you want gentrification to not roll like this anywhere, you should respect that it has happened here too and process what that must have felt like for the people who grew up in that neighborhood. The families, the grandparents who are getting still pushed out right now, who are still trying to hang on to their house. A Black story should bother you and should affect you whether or not Black people are 60% of the population or 10.
Right.
So I just be looking at Black people sideways like, guys, we are missing the plot here if we have to say, oh, you need to have a certain percentage of Black people in your city for us to care about those Black lives.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's why things like, or entities such as like Africa Town and the Urban League and folks who are really looking into how do we not only kind of continue to create opportunities for ownership for these pieces, but how do we make sure as many people as possible can benefit, as many people of color. Like, I mean, it's essentially some form of reparations, but I mean, will we ever see reparations? I don't know. But also just like you said, it is all about the common good and not necessarily just like the good of your own and your own family. You know?
The Black struggle and the black situation, it's got regional flavors, but we are all in the same pot. This is true,
right?
A little bit for all of us.
Yeah, that's real. Okay, well, thank you for sharing that. We're gonna move into a game,
all right,
which is not actually really a game. They're conversation cards, and so I'm just gonna have you pull a couple of cards and just answer the questions.
Let's see. I may have gotten one.
Okay.
I said a couple.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll give you a little, and then you can pull which ones you want.
All right. It says, what's your favorite dessert? I like a good lemon cupcake. Just a quality, moist cupcake with a nice fluffy frosting.
Okay, yes.
Keeping it classic.
I need to do a little plug. Have you heard of Alonzo? Zoe Good Cupcakes?
I have not.
Okay. Hey, Black Seattle.
Hey, and I'm about to I am working right now on the latest list, which is black spots that'll take care of your sweet tooth.
Okay, yes. So, well, he has the best red velvet cupcakes in the city, but also lemon cupcakes.
You must be my only friend because nobody else told me.
I'm going to put you on. Okay,
they on the list now. All right, I can't wait. Next one.
Yeah.
If you knew you wouldn't get hurt, would you rather skydive or view sharks from an underwater cage? Now, my first instinct was neither of these.
Right. Neither, please.
I'd like to go with no.
Right.
But since I very much identify with and feel a kinship with birds, specifically eagles, I'm going to go with skydive. We have guaranteed my safety in this fictional scenario.
Right.
And I would love to see the world from the vantage point of the birds.
I would agree with you on that one. Yeah, I'm not an underwater person. No, I don't want to see. I guess sharks are cool.
They ain't cool enough for me to go hang out. Like I'm good.
I like dolphins. They're cute.
It's like I don't know what they got going on down there. I'm not interested.
Let's do a couple more.
Okay. What would you most like to do for someone else if you had the money and time?
I love that. Okay. Let me sip my tea. What would you like to do?
Man, I don't want to make it too big, but what would I most like to do for someone else? I'm not going to be out here saving world peace, so let me just calm down. I would love to just like make whatever the rest of my mother's life is that she has here on earth, I would love to just make it soft
Come on.
I would love to
Yeah.
just soften the rest of the road
Yeah.
for my mom in a way where a Black woman, when she left here, she like, ooh, I felt that love.
Oh,
That's what I would like to do. if I had
Everyone
money.
needs a soft girl era.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really know fully. I don't know if I've lived this.
I know I haven't.
I actually don't
You don't
think
know.
I
If you
have.
don't know, you
I
didn't.
know. Yeah, that's true. However, it sounds nice.
It does.
Yeah,
I would set her up.
that's so
Mama
dope.
been through some things and
Yeah.
she's seen some stuff. And I would love to just lay down pillows for her.
Yeah, she deserves.
She does.
Yeah.
Okay. If money were no object, what kind of party would you throw?
Ooh.
Okay. And I know exactly what party it would be.
Okay.
I would have this like mega Hey Black Seattle summit where we are in like some big venue
Yeah.
that has space for a central performance stage. I'm talking like a big festival where if you are there for some professional stuff, we have the creative set up in a space where they can not only network with each other, but then have access to the things that they need for their different businesses to thrive.
Yeah.
So we'll have the bookkeeper right there. We'll have the graphic designers for their websites. We'll have all the stuff. Like I would just do some sort of big Black empowerment fest of some sort
Yeah.
for the greater Seattle area.
That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Let's manifest that. The money's coming. Money flows to me.
You listen to the same tracks I do. Money flows to me.
Money flows to me. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. That was fun.
We are going to move into a win is a win. And so in this segment or in this portion, I'm going to ask you to share about any sort of challenge that you've experienced that you've learned from, or any sort of success that you're just really proud of.
Whew. So I don't get into it very much. I've touched on it slightly on Instagram, but a couple, maybe last year or 2 years ago, I got diagnosed with fibromyalgia. And for people who aren't familiar, the best way I could describe it is when they can't figure out what's wrong, they just give up and say, well,
Sounds like it could be.
It's a diagnosis of exclusion where you excluded so many different things to where they couldn't pinpoint the issue. And so it's like, okay, well, this is a neurological disorder where your brain is sending pain signals to your body. And it's different degrees of debilitating on different days.
Yeah.
It's chronic and there's nothing you can do except learn how to manage it for the rest of your life. So whatever happened in my past, my body is now dealing with this thing. And I feel like it is an ongoing challenge that is triggered by stress, or it's, it's made worse by me not taking proper care of myself.
Yeah.
And that's not just physically with food and exercise and sleep. That's also energetically with what I allow around me. And so the win in having this really annoying, uncurable mystery neurological disorder is that it has made me ruthless with where I spend time and what I do and what I put up with. I already was living by the everybody can get it kind of mantra of life, where it's like I can't let anybody infringe on me and cause too much friction to my spirit. And that's family, friends, everybody can get the... I was already kind of like that. But this took it to the next level where when I feel the no, I have to move on it. Because it will make me physically sick. And so it's like I got bumper car guardrails up on life where I'm like, I just bump up against stuff. If I try to override my intuition, I get physically ill. And so what that does is make you kind of a superhero in a little bit, because you got to save yourself every day. Like, ooh, nope. I feel like a no.
Yeah.
I
Just
can't
like
go.
that.
Ooh, where did I feel it? Oh, my knees.
I think that's so powerful also, because it can be really hard to, let go of things that are not serving you if you feel like this is someone that I love, or this is, it's very, very challenging, and then you feel guilty, and then you're carrying all that. And literally, physically in your bones. And so having that kind of discretion to say, I love you or I like this or whatever, but I have to protect my own peace or I have to, you know, care for myself, it can be hard. It is a every single day decision, challenge, something you got to be intentional about.
Because each of us, like, unless you have some special arrangement or you are a child, each of us is our own primary caregiver. And so if I'm my primary caregiver, only I know. Also, I've only been the one in here who has had this,
as far as I know,
these string of experiences. Okay, they gonna chip us, girl. I'm the only one who's had the experiences and the perspective I had. I'm the only one that's living my whole day to day that knows what I need to show up for.
Yeah.
Whoever is interacting with me in whatever moment, they don't see the rest.
Right.
And so they're coming from whatever it is they need.
And whatever life experiences they're experiencing.
All of that.
Yeah.
So I have to be the one to use everything I know about myself to say, this isn't for me. And I respect that you are doing something that is for you. Peace to your journey.
Yeah.
But also peace to mine too. Respect that I have to take care of me first. And so this, like, having this kind of physical and neurological forcing function, it's like, I'm sure some people think, oh, she funny acting. It's like, no, I'm clear with me.
Yeah, that's real. And that is a form of self-care. Are there other ways that you're practicing self-care?
I always, I kind of giggle when people ask this question. I always usually see the person on the other end be like, ooh, girl, I got to do better. Everybody feels that way. So I always, but I do think that I'm doing my best at it. The boundaries and the actual listening to my intuition is a big part of self-care, because I think that was the opposite thing that I was doing that was not self-care for a while, was overriding my intuition and doing things inside of systems that weren't designed for my well-being. But I'm showing up because I think I'm supposed to be making this money and I think I'm supposed to be doing this career thing.
Right.
So that's a big one. But I delight myself. I let myself be delighted. If I want to go blow bubbles like a young girl at the edge of some water, I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
If I want to wear a cat-eared headband to the supermarket, I'm going to wear it.
Yeah.
I don't hold back with pleasing myself. And that's in every sense. I must be free, and I allow myself the freedom to be delighted however I need to be.
Yeah. Period. I'm going to tap into that.
Yes. Delight yourself.
Delight yourself. I deserve.
You do. You be working hard. So, mama.
Listen, it's a lot. It's a lot. Okay, well, we have come to the end of our it went by fast.
It really did.
We have come to the end of our episode, and so we always do a pour up, and it is not necessarily pouring drinks or pouring whatever. It's pouring into ourselves and pouring into each other. So today I have these affirmation cards that I love. We sell them in our shop, and they're by a Black vendor.
Hey.
And they are called Listen Bitch cards. Now, you do not have to say the B word if you don't want to. You can say queen, sis.
I'm going to see what feels right in the
whatever
moment.
feels right to you. But I want you to pull a card, and I want you to read it out loud, talking to yourself.
Okay. I love saying nice things to me.
Listen, whatever, read it out loud, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. I love how I let myself have the joke before I tell y'all.
Sitting on the edge of my seat.
Listen, sis, even flowers go through dirt and shit. Keep blooming, baby. I love this. It's so I love it. I love the reminder that it's going to always be something.
Yeah.
Even if you're a beautiful blooming flower. There is fertilizer around the roots.
Yeah. It's going to help us grow.
Keep blooming.
Yeah. Mine says, listen, sis. Oh, gosh. Speaking to me. You deserve rest. Seriously, take a break. Who put this card in here?
I feel like I did some like voodoo and got that card up.
You know, this is something that oh gosh, it's something that I'm working on. I am constantly feeling like there's always something to be done, and I feel guilty when I stop and sit down because I'm like, oh, wait, but I didn't. And so this is something that I really need to be intentional about. And I will work on that.
Go to bed.
Go to bed.
Go to bed.
Well, I want to say thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I enjoyed you. And this is our first time actually meeting.
I know.
And so I'm really glad that you accepted my invitation, girl. And I'm glad to learn more about Hey Black Seattle. And how can folks find you, connect with you, anything you want us to know about Hey Black Seattle before we tap out?
Yes. So first of all, thank you so much for having me here. Sure. First time meeting, but it won't be our last.
Absolutely not.
And what I hope that everyone will do, please go to heyblackseattle.com.
Okay.
And there are 2 types of memberships. You can be a directory member and a community member.
Okay.
All my directory members, that's all of the community organizations, that's all the businesses, service professionals, artists who need to be found by the community.
Okay.
So all of these entities serving the Black community who need to be found, we need them to have a listing on the website.
Gotcha.
So you go, be like, become a directory member, make that profile. So then when somebody's searching, like, I wonder if there's some Black people making candles out here or hosting classes, they can find you in there.
Okay.
And then the community members, that's the people at large, the people who will get some cool benefits and members-only giveaways and participate in our online discussion forums and things like that. But a lot of the future survival of Hey Black Seattle depends on people signing up for that community membership.
Okay.
It costs $24 a year.
That's a steal, girl.
It's a steal.
Yeah.
As we build this community asset where all of us can be found and gather and talk to each other in this place that's for us, by us, prioritizing us. So directory members, put your profile, your listing up. Community members, sign up and get ready to engage. HeyBlackSeattle.com.
Amazing. Thank you for creating that space, and great things are coming for you. I already know. And I look forward to connecting with you again.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Bye,